Avoidants don't fall loudly, they fall quietly, almost accidentally. You'll never catch an avoidant falling in love the way you'd catch anyone else. There won't be grand gestures, long texts, or sudden emotional confessions. What you'll notice instead is the shift, subtle, almost invisible, unless you know what you're looking for. The first sign is how they stop avoiding you. Not fully, not dramatically, but in these small, almost imperceptible ways that reveal more than their words ever will. They reply a little faster, as if their fingers move before their fear can catch up. They stay a little longer, lingering in conversations they used to escape from. Their presence feels different, softer, less guarded, as if they've loosened their armor without realizing it. Avoidants don't fall in love all at once. They drift into it like someone walking deeper into water without noticing how far they've gone. Their walls don't collapse in a dramatic moment. They crack slowly, quietly, the way ice thins under warm light. And it's through those tiny breaks, those accidental pauses, softened looks, and unplanned moments that their love begins to slip out. They won't say they care, but their behavior betrays them. Every time they stay instead of leave, every moment they hesitate before pulling away. Every small effort they make to keep the connection alive, that's their version of I'm falling for you. And the wildest part is, they usually don't even realize it's happening. To an avoidant, love sneaks up on them the way a shadow follows light. They're wired to protect themselves, to retreat, to stay detached, yet there you are, becoming the exception they never expected. And because they aren't used to feeling safe with people, the shift inside them is gentle, not loud, not overwhelming, but undeniably real. This is the stage when they start choosing you without knowing they're choosing you. They'll respond even when they're tired. They'll stay even when their instinct tells them to run. They'll listen more closely, ask small questions, remember things you never thought mattered. It's the tenderness behind the edges, the softness beneath the silence. You'll catch it in the way they pause before ending a call, the way they hover before saying goodbye, or the way their eyes linger a second too long, as if trying to memorize a moment they don't want to lose. This is an avoidance quiet confession, not spoken, not admitted, but shown. You don't break their walls. You simply become the one person they don't want to hide from anymore. And it's in those quiet, unintentional slips that you realize something powerful. They're falling for you, even while trying not to. Their body betrays them long before their words ever will. With avoidance, their emotions always show up in their body before they ever show up in their mouth. They won't admit they care. They won't express their feelings. They won't tell you outright that you matter to them. But their body will whisper the truth long before their mind allows them to speak it. When an avoidant begins to fall for you, their physical presence shifts in a way they can't control, a way that betrays every wall they try to keep up. You'll notice it in how they turn toward you without realizing they're doing it. Even if they're trying to stay composed, distant, or neutral, their body subtly angles in your direction. Their feet point toward you. Their torso leans in. Their head tilts when you talk. It's instinctive, their nervous system recognizing safety before their defenses catch up. They don't move closer because they want to flirt. They move closer because something in them feels drawn to you, magnetized by a connection they don't yet understand. Their eyes give them away even more. Avoidance. Usually maintain a controlled, neutral gaze. Not too long, not too soft, not too revealing, but with you. Something changes. Their eyes linger. Their expression softens. They look at you with this quiet, unguarded warmth that slips out before they can shut it down. And when they realize they were staring, they look away quickly, as if trying to pull the truth back into themselves. You'll hear the shift in their voice, too. Avoidants typically speak with a certain edge, calm, restrained, sometimes a bit monotone, as a way to keep emotional distance. But when they're falling for you, their voice lowers, softens, becomes gentler without them even thinking about it. Their tone carries a warmth they didn't plan to reveal. It's not what they say, it's the way they say it, the subtle tenderness weaving between their words. And perhaps the most telling sign, their tension melts around you. Avoidants are often physically guarded, stiff shoulders, tight jaw, controlled breathing. But in your presence, little parts of them relax. Their shoulders drop, Their breathing becomes deeper. Their posture loosens. They don't even notice it happening, but their body does, because the body recognizes safety long before the mind agrees. This is unintentional intimacy, the kind avoidance can't hide no matter how hard they try. They won't call it affection. They won't acknowledge it. They probably don't even realize the shift is happening. But every softened glance, every relaxed breath, every unconscious lean toward you is a silent confession they can't take back. Their words may stay guarded, quiet, or distant, but their body, that's where the truth slips out, raw, honest, and impossible for them to control. This is how you know an avoidance heart is opening, not through grand declarations, but through the gentle ways their body begins choosing you long before their mind allows it. For someone who fears closeness, they suddenly crave your presence. One of the sweetest, most unexpected signs that an avoidant has fallen for you is the way they start gravitating toward you without even realizing they're doing it. This is someone who normally avoids emotional intensity, who pulls away when things feel too close, who hates the idea of meeting anyone, yet suddenly your presence becomes something they quietly seek out. They won't say it, they won't label it, but their behavior begins to shift in small, unmistakable ways that reveal the truth before they're ready to admit it. You'll notice them creating tiny excuses to interact with you. It won't be anything obvious or dramatic. Avoidants don't operate that way. Instead, they'll send you a random meme late at night or forward a video with a simple, "This reminded me of you." They'll ask you a question they probably didn't even need the answer to. They'll comment on something small just to reopen the conversation. Each excuse seems casual on the surface, but beneath it is a quiet desire. I want to be connected to you, but I don't know how to say it. They begin hovering too, not overtly, not in a clingy way. Avoidants don't cling, but you'll feel their presence subtly. They'll stick around a little longer after a call, or take just a bit more time to say goodbye in person. They'll linger in the doorway, pause before leaving, or stay online a few minutes after you've stopped talking, as if they don't want to break the connection. It's not about the moment itself, it's about them trying to hold on to a feeling they're not used to having. And here's the paradox. Avoidants don't chase, they don't pursue in the traditional sense. Their entire attachment style is built around minimizing emotional risk, staying in control, and protecting their autonomy. But when their heart begins to shift, when you become someone who feels safe, warm, and grounding, they start doing something unusual for them. They circle back, they don't run, they return. Their returns may be subtle, but they're meaningful. You'll notice they check in after disappearing for a bit, not out of obligation, but out of concern. You'll see them pop up in moments you least expect, reinitiating contact even if they were the one who pulled away. It might be a short message, a simple "how's your day going?" or even a like on something you posted. But for an avoidant, these tiny gestures are massive emotional risks, signs that they care enough to bridge the distance they usually guard. Slowly, you become their soft place. You become the person they want to share small victories with, or someone they want near them when the world feels overwhelming. Without saying it, they begin integrating you into their daily rhythm. You become part of their thought process, part of their emotional landscape, part of the comfort they secretly crave. This is the avoidant love story, subtle, quiet, and full of contradictions. They don't announce their feelings, they reveal them in these gentle, hesitant approaches. And when you see them making these small but meaningful efforts to keep you close, that's when you know you've become someone their heart returns to, even when their fears try to pull them away. An avoidant in love becomes a paradox, distant in words, loyal in actions. One of the clearest signs that you've slipped into an avoidance heart is the shift from emotional distance to quiet devotion. They may not speak their feelings. In fact, their words might stay neutral, vague, or carefully restrained, but their actions tell a different story entirely. Avoidants don't express affection with declarations. They express it with effort. And when they love you, even silently, they begin showing up in ways they don't show up for anyone else. They start doing thoughtful things behind the scenes without drawing attention to it. Maybe they fix something you mentioned once in passing, or they send you a link related to a topic you care about, or they quietly handle a task you were stressed about. They never announce it, never brag, never expect praise. Their care slips out sideways through the things they do, not the things they say. And half the time, they hope you won't even notice how much they're doing, because noticing would make them feel exposed. Avoidants are observers. They pay attention when it matters. So when they're falling for you, they begin remembering the tiniest details: how you take your coffee, the song you liked last week, the thing you said when you were anxious, or the date of an event that's important to you. They hold on to these details quietly, storing them like small emotional treasures. And then, when you least expect it, they act on them. They show up with something you once mentioned: loving. They send a message on a day you're nervous about. They take note of your moods even when you think they aren't looking. This is their version of intimacy: silent loyalty, invisible effort, unspoken thoughtfulness. What makes the avoidant paradox so beautiful and so confusing is that their words may still sound distant. They may still avoid deep emotional conversations, still downplay their feelings, still deflect when you try to get too close. But while their mouth is protecting their heart, their actions are revealing it. They might say, "It's no big deal," while doing something deeply thoughtful for you. They might act like they don't care about relationship labels, then show up for you every time you need support. Their behavior contradicts their defenses, and that contradiction is the truth. Avoidants love quietly, but they love consistently. And when their heart leans toward you, their loyalty shows up long before their vulnerability does. They make sure you're okay, even if they pretend it's casual. They help you with things no one else notices. They do small tasks that make your life easier: carrying bags, fixing tech issues, reminding you of something important. Because this is how they say, "You matter to me," without having to say it. Over time, you realize something powerful. While they struggle with emotional closeness, they are incredibly loyal to the people who feel safe to them. You might not hear the words "I love you," but you will feel them in their actions: steady, thoughtful, dependable. This is the avoidant paradox: distant in language, devoted in behavior. And if you're seeing this contradiction appear, it means their heart is already choosing you, quietly but unmistakably. Their guard doesn't drop, but it lowers just enough for you to step inside. One of the most tender signs that you've touched an avoidance heart is the moment they let you see even a fraction of their inner world. Avoidants don't open up easily, not because they lack emotion, but because their emotions run so deep that exposing them feels dangerous. Their entire life has taught them that vulnerability equals risk, closeness equals overwhelm, and depending on others equals disappointment. So when they begin sharing something personal, even something small, it's never just a conversation. It's an invitation into a place almost no one gets to see. They won't give you the whole story. Avoidants never drop the entire guard at once. Instead, they offer you a single thread: a fear they've carried, a regret that still stings, a childhood memory that shaped them, or a moment of weakness they usually bury. It might seem small on the surface, something easy to overlook, but to them it's massive. They'll say it casually, almost offhandedly, as if it's no big deal, but pay attention. Because that one thread is actually the first door they've cracked open for you. With avoidance, emotional openness comes in microdoses. One moment here, one sentence there. It's not about the amount they share. It's about the permission behind it. For them to reveal anything real, anything unpolished or unprotected, means they've begun to trust you more than they trust their fears. It means you've become a safe space in a world where they typically build emotional fortresses. Sometimes the opening looks like a confession about being overwhelmed. Sometimes it's an insecurity they've been hiding. Sometimes it's something they regret from their past. And sometimes it's just a soft truth like, "I don't usually talk about this stuff," or "I don't know why I'm telling you this." Those lines are gold. They're telling you without realizing it: you're the exception. You're someone I feel safe with. You're someone I want close. What makes this moment so powerful is that avoidants rarely recognize it themselves. They don't plan to be vulnerable. It slips out when their walls shift just enough for their real self to breathe. They might even backtrack afterward, acting distant again, or downplaying what they said. But that doesn't erase the truth. They let you inside, even if only a little. And for an avoidant, a little is monumental. This stage of connection is delicate. They won't suddenly open the floodgates. They won't turn into someone who expresses everything. Instead, they'll keep offering you small pieces, small truths, small glimpses, and each one means their trust is growing. Each one means their heart is inching closer. Each one means they're letting you sit in a space they normally keep locked. Avoidants don't open up in chapters, they open up in sentences. But each sentence is an act of intimacy, a sign of trust, a quiet confession of care. When they give you even one thread of vulnerability, know this: it's not a random moment. It's the beginning of you stepping inside a place they've spent years protecting. They let you see the softness they hide from the rest of the world. One of the most beautiful, unmistakable signs that you've touched an avoidance heart is the version of themselves they begin to reveal around you, the version almost no one else ever gets to see. Avoidants go through life layering emotional armor. They lead with sarcasm, deflection, logic, and distance. They keep their tone flat, their expressions neutral, their heart tucked far behind layers of self protection. But when they care about someone deeply, quietly, unintentionally, their edges begin to soften, not dramatically, not all at once, but with these tiny, tender shifts that say more than any words ever could. With you, they're not as sarcastic. Their usual sharpness dulls into something gentle. Their jokes feel lighter, kinder, less like shields and more like attempts to connect. They don't hide behind irony or quick dismissals as often. Instead, they allow moments of sincerity to slip through, moments they'd normally shut down before anyone could see beneath the surface. Their tone changes too. Avoidants often speak with controlled neutrality, keeping their emotional temperature low so they don't reveal more than they intend. But around you, there's warmth in their voice, subtle but unmistakable. They speak softer, they pause more thoughtfully, they sound calmer, more present, more human, and that shift isn't conscious. It's their nervous system relaxing in your presence, something they don't even realize they're doing. Their eyes give away even more. Avoidants don't hold warm eye contact with people. It feels too intimate, too revealing. But with you, their gaze lingers. Their eyes soften at the edges. They look at you with this gentle, unguarded expression, an expression that doesn't appear anywhere else in their life. Sometimes you'll catch them staring at you with a softness that makes them look almost unfamiliar, as if a different version of them has emerged just for you. And when they notice themselves looking too long, they'll break eye contact quickly, pretending it meant nothing, but it did. Even their body language shifts. The tension they normally carry, the tight shoulders, stiff posture, guarded stance, relaxes around you. They sit closer, even if they don't realize it. They lean in without meaning to. Their expressions become more open, their reactions more genuine. They laugh more freely. They smile in ways you don't see them smile with others. The armor they wear everywhere else becomes lighter, thinner, easier to see through. All of this softness is their form of affection. Avoidants don't fall in love loudly. They fall in love through these small reveals, moments when the world-weary version of them steps aside and the tender, hidden self emerges for just a breath. They don't label these moments. They probably don't notice half of them, but you do, because suddenly they're allowing you to see a part of them no one else gets access to. And that softness, that's not an accident. That's not coincidence. That's not casual. That softness is intimacy. It's trust. It's care breaking through the cracks in their armor. It's their heart showing, even when their words still don't. Their disappearances shrink because they're afraid of losing the one safe person they found. One of the most telling signs that you've quietly slipped into an avoidance heart isn't that they stop pulling away. It's that they don't stay away as long. Avoidance retreat. It's instinctive, almost automatic. When emotions rise, when connection deepens, when things start feeling too meaningful, their nervous system hits the alarm button. Distance becomes their oxygen. Silence becomes their shield. Pulling back is their way of regaining control. But something changes when they care about you, truly care. The pattern doesn't disappear, but it softens. Their retreats become shorter, less intense, less frightening. Their silence isn't as heavy as it used to be. And the moment they pull away, they feel that unmistakable tug to come back to you sooner than they planned. Avoidants don't usually fear losing people. They fear being engulfed, overwhelmed, or emotionally trapped. Not abandoned. But you become different. You become the rare person who feels safe, grounding, calming. So pulling ailing from you doesn't feel like relief anymore. It feels like missing something they didn't expect to need. They start noticing the emptiness when you're not there. The conversations they suddenly miss, the energy they can't replicate with anyone else. the comfort they didn't know they could have. And that's when their disappearances begin to shrink. Suddenly, 3 days of silence becomes one. A week becomes a weekend. Hours become minutes. They return faster because the fear of losing the one safe connection they've ever trusted outweighs their instinct to run. Their pattern shifts in these subtle but powerful ways. They check in sooner. They respond quicker after pulling back. They apologize in small, indirect ways, sending something thoughtful, showing up with warmth, easing back into conversation more gently. They might not say, "I'm sorry I disappeared," but their behavior says, "I didn't want to stay away." For avoidance, returning quickly is a silent declaration of how much you matter. They don't come back fast for everyone, only for the ones their heart refuses to detach from. The quicker they return, the deeper their attachment is becoming. And here's the secret truth: they hate that they miss you. It scares them, it exposes them, it makes them feel vulnerable in a way they've spent their whole life avoiding. But it also pulls them toward you in ways they can't fully control. So instead of disappearing for long stretches, they linger closer. They stay connected. Even when they're overwhelmed, they keep one foot in your world, even when their fears tell them to step out. And when they do step back, they're already thinking about how and when to come back before they've even left fully. This is the avoidant contradiction. They distance to feel safe, but they return quickly because you feel safer than the distance ever did. And when their disappearances shrink, their heart is showing quietly, carefully, but undeniably. They start planning with you quietly, indirectly, accidentally. One of the sweetest, most revealing signs that you've claimed space in an avoidance heart is the way they begin to include you in their future. Not with bold declarations, not with promises, but through small, subtle hints they barely realize they're dropping. Avoidants don't plan with people easily. For them, planning means permanence, loyalty, emotional investment, all the things that typically make them pull back. But when they trust you, when their heart begins to lean toward you, they can't help but picture you in the days ahead, even if they never say it outright. It starts with tiny breadcrumbs. They mention a movie that's coming out and casually add, "We should watch it sometime." They hear about a restaurant and say, "You'd probably like that place." They talk about an event next month and slip in a soft, "Maybe we could go." It's never concrete, never formal. Avoidants hate anything that feels like pressure or obligation, but the simple fact that they're imagining you there in a future moment doing something together is huge. It means you've crossed the threshold from temporary presence to consistent possibility. They might bring up places they want to show you, foods they want you to try, experiences they want to share, always casually, always lightly, as if it's nothing. But for them, it's everything. Avoidance don't extend their future to just anyone. If they're picturing you next to them, even in small things, it means their mind has accepted you into a territory their heart usually keeps locked. Sometimes it shows up in even subtler ways. They'll talk about something they want to improve in their life and say it differently around you. "I should start going to the gym again," becomes, "Maybe we could go together sometime." Or, "I've been thinking about traveling," turns into, "There are places I'd want you to see." Those tiny adjustments are emotional gold, evidence that they're mentally aligning their path with yours, even if they aren't ready to admit it. They may also start remembering dates, schedules, or upcoming plans you've mentioned and weave you into conversations around them. They listen closer than you think. They recall your birthday, your deadlines, your family events, your dream, not to make promises, but because they're quietly making space for you in their internal world. And the beautiful part is this: they don't even realize they're doing it. Avoidants don't sit down and think, "I'm going to plan a future with this person." Their defenses would never allow that. Instead, the planning slips out naturally, accidentally. Their unconscious mind reaches for you because your presence feels grounding, comforting, safe. Future breadcrumbs are their version of commitment. Indirect planning is their version of emotional investment. A casual "we should" from an avoidant is the equivalent of "I want you in my life." They won't say they're imagining you beside them, but the clues appear anyway. Soft, unintentional, deeply meaningful. Because avoidants only plan with people they trust. And if they're planning with you, even in the gentlest ways, it means they've already begun to picture you as part of their world, not just today, but tomorrow too. You become their emotional home, even if they still fear moving in fully. One of the most profound signs that you've captured an avoidance heart is the way they begin to lean on you emotionally without fully relying, without surrendering completely, but in ways that show you are their safe place. Wynants fear dependence. They fear being engulfed, losing control, or being vulnerable. Yet when they start to trust you, when their heart identifies you as someone who doesn't threaten their autonomy, something shifts. You become their refuge, their quiet space where they can breathe without fear of judgment or abandonment. It shows in the small moments first. They reach out when they're stressed, not in frantic desperation, but in a subtle, almost imperceptible way. A short message, a quiet question, a desire to share something minor but meaningful, all signs they are seeking your grounding presence. Unlike others, you provide a space where they can exist without performing, without protecting themselves at every turn. They don't have to armor up or push away their discomfort. Around you, they can simply be. They start relaxing physically and emotionally in your presence. Their usual guarded posture softens, shoulders drop, their voice lowers. The habitual tension they carry begins to dissipate. Their laughter becomes lighter, their smiles genuine. They may still keep parts of themselves private, but around you, the edges soften. The careful control they maintain in most relationships loosens just enough that their true self begins to emerge. This closeness doesn't come from neediness or clinginess. Avoidants rarely become dependent, even on the people they care about most. Instead, it's comfort. You become a source of stability and calm that they don't have to fight against. Your energy becomes grounding, your presence reassuring, and your patience a quiet invitation to rest in the emotional space you create. They feel safe enough to pause their constant vigilance, even if only for a few moments at a time. Over time, these moments accumulate. They seek you when life feels overwhelming. They share details of their day that others might never hear. They come to you with small frustrations or fleeting anxieties, not because they're helpless, but because you've become a place where their guard isn't required. They learn, often unconsciously, that leaning into you doesn't result in loss or rejection. And that realization is transformative for someone who normally fears emotional closeness. Even if they never verbally admit it, their behavior shows you've become their anchor. You're the one they turn to when the noise of the world is too loud, the one who helps them center, breathe, and feel steady. You're not their whole world. They protect themselves from giving that much, but you are a vital piece of it. Becoming an avoidance emotional home isn't about them moving and fully surrendering completely or eliminating their walls entirely. It's about them trusting you enough to let parts of themselves rest beside you, finding safety in your presence without having to let go entirely. That quiet, profound trust is love in its most subtle form. And that's the truth. For an avoidant, when you are their emotional home, you've claimed a space in their heart that few ever reach, a place of comfort, calm, and quiet devotion, even while their fear of full surrender remains. An avoidant's sweetest confession is the one they don't say, but they show. The most profound way an avoidant shows their love isn't through words, declarations, or grand romantic gestures. It's through the quiet, unintentional ways they let you in, the subtle actions that reveal more than any confession ever could. Avoidants guard their hearts with everything they have. They've spent a lifetime building walls, erecting defenses, and protecting themselves from the unpredictability of emotions. Trust is earned slowly, and vulnerability comes even slower. And yet, when they care for you, when their heart has chosen you in the quiet spaces no one else occupies, something remarkable happens. You become the one person they protect less from. You'll notice it in the small moments first. They'll reach out when they're stressed, offer a piece of advice, or notice a detail about your day you didn't expect them to remember. They'll do thoughtful things for you without announcing it, fixing something, sending a link, asking about something that matters to you. These actions may seem casual, even accidental, but they carry intention that they can't fully articulate. That's the paradox of an avoidant in love. Their care is deliberate, yet their expression of it is unplanned, effortless, and entirely genuine. Their love is never dramatic. Avoidants aren't the type to write long messages about their feelings, declare love in public, or orchestrate grand displays of devotion. That's not how they express connection. Their affection is subtle, a soft glance that lingers a fraction too long, a gentle tone in their voice when they talk to you, a smile that appears in moments only you witness. It's steady, not overwhelming, Not chaotic, not loud, but constant. Even when they pull back to protect themselves, the thread of care remains. It's woven through their behavior in ways that are undeniable if you know where to look, and it's entirely unintentional. Avoidants often don't recognize the weight of what they're showing. They might assume that what they're doing is casual, logical, or habitual, when in reality, it's the clearest form of confession they have. They're not planning to reveal their heart. Their heart slips out anyway. That's why being loved by an avoidant feels so delicate. It's a confession without words, a promise without a vow, an intimacy without demand. In the presence of someone they trust, their walls soften just enough for this love to flow through. They may still retreat, still hesitate, still maintain their boundaries, but their choices, their actions, and their presence quietly say everything their mouth cannot. They protect themselves, yes, but they protect you less. That's the ultimate sign that they've let someone into the part of themselves they usually guard above all else. An avoidance love is not flashy. It doesn't seek attention or validation, but it is profound. It is steady. It is unwavering in its subtlety. And if you pay close attention, if you recognize the small, gentle gestures, the quiet attentiveness, the softness behind the edges, you realize that this is their way of saying, without ever saying it aloud, I love you. I trust you. You matter to me. And that, in its quiet, unintentional way, is the avoidance sweetest confession.